Thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Killian. I'm with Boltz, and today we are talking about one of our recent product releases, liquid swaps, or rather lightning to liquid swaps. And first, I'm going to go through a little bit more of, there we go, the concept of what we do at Boltz. So at Boltz, we are a non-custodial Bitcoin exchange and also a lightning service provider, or LSP for short. And currently we're featuring swaps between Lightning Bitcoin and Mainchain Bitcoin, as well as of recently Lightning Bitcoin against LPTC on Liquid. Something pretty special we have already live for our swaps is something we call channel creation, which creates channels on the fly if our backend realizes that a payment can't get through to the user due to no route or no liquidity on the route. We would on the fly create a new channel and then push the payment through to the user. So the very big differentiator of us and a lot of other swap services is that we are using actual atomic swaps, meaning it's non-custodial. We never have control over the user funds, not even a split second in the swap. Also differentiator is that we actually have a website. Others might rely on a daemon, for example, on a software that you have to connect to your node. And we have a pretty extensive API, which is already integrated in numerous applications. And yeah, more to come. So at Boltz, we value privacy. So we have a privacy-first approach. So all services, including the API, by the way, are exposed via an onion address on the Tor network. And it goes without saying that we do not store any user identifying data simply because we don't even have them. We are operating since April 2019. And yeah, our Lightning node is running since then. So one of the very early versions of LND on mainnet, and by now is one of the oldest and largest Lightning nodes on the network. Who are our users? Who uses Boltz? That, for one hand, is Lightning node operators with the main use case to rebalance channels, and that's what we want to focus on today, and which is the focus also of our new liquid swap product. Or that want to get a new channel. That's something new we're working on to actually extend the existing channel creation that we have. Or it might be actually B2B, so other Bitcoin projects that are using us. For example, Lightning wallets. For example, we integrated with Breeze, which is a very popular non-custodial Lightning wallet, and enable Breeze users to pay to on-chain. So since Breeze is entirely Lightning only, the Breeze team integrated Boltz atomic swaps to allow Breeze users to pay an on-chain address. Or vice versa. That's something we are looking to integrate with as well as regular on-chain wallets that do not have Lightning functionality yet, which via swaps with Boltz could allow their users to pay Lightning invoices. And as of very recently, also liquid wallets that allow the same thing, basically, to not only have liquid functionality, but also to pay to Lightning invoices and also pay to the main chain. And the very last use case that I thought about was users that simply want to do more with their Bitcoin, that have the need to convert their Bitcoin into liquid Bitcoin to use advanced financial products, like, for example, the recently launched Fuji Money. All right, super brief. What are atomic swaps? An atomic swap in general is a way to swap two coins with each other that is secured by cryptography in a way that no party can cheat, that nobody can steal from each other. And that is achieved by the main premise that a swap only executes if both transactions execute. So if one out of the two transactions fails, the swap fails, or a refund is needed in some cases. Yeah, in contrast to many definitions, if you search online for atomic swap, there are kind of weird definitions online. an atomic swap does not necessarily have to be between two different chains or between chain and chain or even peer-to-peer. It doesn't really matter with whom you're swapping and where you're swapping. The important thing and what defines an atomic swap is that the two transactions of a swap involved in a swap execute atomically. Not only one, but always both have to execute. That's the definition. So yeah, for us as a swap provider, that's also very important from a regulatory standpoint. We never control customer funds, never ever. Said it before, not even for a split second in the swap process. So that's something for us. Yeah, we decided basically to that non-custodial is the only way forward for us. Today we're talking about a subcategory of atomic swaps, the so-called submarine swaps. I think the term was coined by Alex Bosworth of Lightning Labs, and describes atomic swaps between the Lightning Network and some sort of blockchain. Yeah, so let's go through the swap flow between Lightning and Liquid. There are two directions, obviously. Once you go from always from the perspective of the user, you go from Liquid to Lightning, which is called a normal submarine swap, or from Lightning to Liquid, which is called a reverse submarine swap. Let's go through the swap protocol in a simplified manner. First, the user decides on the send amount, says, okay, I want to send 0.1 liquid Bitcoin or on the receive amount directly. So our web interface actually, as you can see here, allows you to input both, and the second value will be calculated accordingly. So in this example, the user sends 0.1 liquid Bitcoin and accordingly receives simplified 0.099 Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. The web interface clearly states the fees. So not only the fee that we are charging, the Boltz fee, which is 0.1% for this direction, but also the network fee, the minor fees that we need in order to get the liquid transaction first blocked and then claimed. It's actually two. So yeah, the protocol starts by the user, or rather the user's application, which in a lot of cases is our web app, creating a Lightning invoice for 0.099 Bitcoin, and then sending it to Boltz. And Boltz takes the invoice pre-image hash, and so not the pre-image because it doesn't have it, but the hash, and creates a redeem script and derives the liquid address of that and asks the user to send 0.1 liquid Bitcoin to it. The user then sends this 0.1 liquid Bitcoin to this address. And Boltz, we decided to wait for one confirmation to be, safe. And pays the 0.099 Lightning invoice. And because of paying the Lightning invoice, the pre-image gets revealed. So if the user wants to redeem, so to speak, the Lightning payment, the user has to reveal the pre-image. And Boltz then can use that pre-image to claim the previously locked up 0.1 liquid Bitcoin on the liquid chain from the redeem script. So that is the very last step and the swap completed. Okay, any questions regarding that, please write them down in the chat like Jay said. We will answer that. I'll try to answer them after I'm done with going through the flows. Now the other direction, reverse submarine swaps, going from Lightning to Liquid. Same example, user wants to send 0.1 Bitcoin on the Lightning network and accordingly receive 0.099 on the Liquid network. Exactly the other direction. Fee is slightly different here. Also, the network fee is slightly different here because it's actually Boltz that is doing both transactions. So yeah, and yeah, the user apps or the user starts by, or rather the app that the user uses starts by generating a pre-image internally, hashing it with a SHA-256 hash, and sending that hash over to Boltz, to us. And Boltz takes that hash and uses it to create a so-called hold invoice about the 0.1 Lightning Bitcoin that it wants to receive from the user, using the hash from the user that the user previously sent over. If you're going through the flow on our website, you do not notice any of that. That the web page is the web app is sending hashes. This is all happening under the hood. And then the user pays the invoice that Boltz generated and showed to the user. But since it's a hold invoice, it does not settle yet. So the payment is literally, in most wallets, it shows as pending and doesn't settle yet because the user did not reveal the pre-match to Boltz yet. But Boltz knows what to do in order to make the Lightning payment settle. Boltz knows it needs to lock the 0.099 liquid Bitcoin on a liquid chain using, again, the same hash that it previously got from the user. And once the user can decide to either do that immediately or wait for one confirmation, both options are available also via API. The user then, let's say, the user waits for one confirmation and then broadcasts a claim transaction to claim the locked 0.099 liquid Bitcoin. And by claiming, the pre-match gets revealed. So Boltz now on the chain sees the pre-match and can use it to claim and settle the Lightning invoice of 0.1 Bitcoin. And it's done. So those are the two directions that we have. Normal swaps going from liquid to Lightning and reverse swaps from Lightning to liquid. And the best part, that's something that I want to highlight here, is because it's liquid, you have seen that our fees are divided into two. So there's the Boltz fee, the swap fee, the service fee that we're taking, and there is something that so far we call the miner fee that you are paying for getting the on-chain transaction in a block. And on liquid, we are currently broadcasting everything with 0.11 sat per V-byte, as long as the blocks are not full, which they are not. So the user actually can rely on a very stable, so it's very probable that this number of the fee, the network fee that the user has to pay, actually doesn't change, at least not in the midterm future. And that's something users of main chain swaps absolutely cannot. So this is one of the main pain points that Liquid is solving, that it's not only avoiding high fees, but also users can rely on the fee to be in a certain level and not be volatile and from block to block. Privacy-wise, there's a delinking from main chain UTXOs or from main chain coins in general. I mean, here we're talking about Lightning. So you're basically delinking your Lightning coins from to Liquid. So there's a delinking in a way that it's two different networks, and that gives you a huge privacy gain. And no matter if it's between Lightning and the main chain, or the main chain and Liquid, or Liquid and Lightning. This is in general a privacy game. And the great thing is that the transactions on Liquid are actually confidential. So we opted going for confidential transactions simply because it's a huge privacy gain for the user. It was a no-brainer for us to use confidential transactions. The fees are low enough to allow us, for the fee to be cheap enough, paying for the larger transaction size that a confidential transaction has. So we are privacy first project. So we opted for confidential transactions on Liquid. And you can see here, basically, not much gets revealed about the Liquid part of things here. A couple of resources, I can quickly post them into the chat here if somebody is interested. So I think that's clear. The web app is live at liquid.boltz.exchange. Especially API documentation is live at docs.boltz.exchange, and all our code is on GitHub on github.com/boltz.exchange. I'll quickly paste them afterwards, and let's see if there are questions. Curious how involved or much you followed Liquid before the integration. Imagine that a part of the community and Liquid Federation member. For me personally, I knew Liquid, of course, existed and it was there. I have to say I've never used it before because I simply didn't have a use case. It was literally in the course of the integration that we did that I actually started using Liquid, I actually started using Blockstream Green. I actually learned about confidential transactions and how they suddenly clicked on me, and that was a first, yeah. And yeah, Liquid Federation member, basically that's what gave us access to all this information and yeah, learning of what Liquid can do. Is there any amount of liquidity that would lower the 0.1% fee? Yeah, that's a good question. We had that question actually before. I think someone called it bulk trades. So would you grant a lower fee on trades exceeding a certain amount? That's something we can think of, definitely. We just have a problem here. We do not have the concept of users. So it's hard for us to track a user. We actually don't want to do that. So with Lightning or with Liquid currently, we have a max swap amount of 0.05 Bitcoin. So you would need to do actually a couple of swaps in order to swap larger amounts. I think when lowering something below 0.1% fee would make sense is when we have Liquid to main chain swaps, because that would actually allow for reliable, larger scale or bulk swaps where we can reliably say, okay, this was a large swap, so you get a smaller percentage of the fee. So with Lightning, that's a little bit difficult. What we have though is a referral program. So you can actually partner with us and set a referral ID, and that's literally the only identifying thing that we would have. Yes, liquid dimension would be fantastic. We are actually already working on it. Early stages, because Michael, he will speak in a bit, is very keen on making them directly Taproot based. So he's getting deep into music too. But yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap, and it will come because it's needed. We cannot only enable users to swap via Lightning into Liquid. There also has to be an on-chain way out of Liquid, and we will offer it directly via Boltz. Yeah, I hope that answered your question. I think realistically, with chain-to-chain swaps, we can offer dynamically directly on the web page lower fees. If it's below 0.1%, let's see, 0.1% is already pretty low for the operational costs that we have, to be frank. I mentioned a referral program. That's basically you integrating our API, offering it Boltz swaps via your mobile application or your website, and setting a referral ID so we can track, okay, if this volume came in from you, and then you would get a manual kickback payout from us. That's something that would lower the fee, quote unquote. Yeah, those are the two ways that I can think of. If it will be below 0.1, let's see. I don't want to make any promises here. All right. I think I'm done. Let's switch over to an actual demo by Michael.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael. I'm with Boltz too, and I'm pretty much the backend developer. And I'm gonna demo a channel rebalance via liquid swaps now. I'm sharing my screen, and I have Write the Lightning open on my C Lightning node, and I opened a channel to Boltz earlier today. And as we can see, I have all the balance on my side and literally nothing on the other side. So let's change that and swap some of my local balance of the channel to liquid. So I have 7.5 million Satoshis on this side. So let's swap, let's say, I don't know, 3 million. That's one more zero. 3 million Satoshis to liquid. So I'm gonna need an on-chain address from my Blockstream Green. Just copy that one, paste it here, and let's create an atomic swap. All right, swap created. We go from Lightning to Liquid, and let's pay the invoice via Albi, the Lightning browser extension, saying that the transaction is in the mempool. And as we said earlier, the transaction now is waiting for one confirmation on Liquid blockchain. Liquid has 1 minute block times, so it should be confirmed any second now. Let's have a look at the block explorer. There it is. Still waiting for that one confirmation. Looks like we got unlucky. Oh, unlucky again.
Yeah, that probably happened because the block was already mined and just the
Yeah,
Explorer updated a bit late. Yeah.
happens every once in a while. Sometimes you have to wait for a second minute, but usually it's just the one. But like still, if you have to wait for a minute or two, still nothing compared to the main chain.
Also, the block times on Liquid are not probabilistic, so you don't have the typical main chain situation where you want the block to be mined urgently and then you're sitting there for an hour and no block gets mined at all. That doesn't happen on Liquid.
Yep. Oh, there it is. Transaction was confirmed and the invoice settled. So let's have a look at my Blockstream Green. If I got the funds on Liquid, there it is. .002999 LBTC in my Liquid wallet. And let's have a look at my channel. 4.5 million sats on my side, 3 million I just moved on the other side. Not perfectly balanced, but way better than what it was before. And that's it. Pretty much all you have to do is set an amount, give it an address, and click the button, pay the invoice, and you're done. Funds are in my Liquid wallet.
Very nice. There's a question, Michael. You want to take it?
How would Liquid domain chain work? Usually what happens is that if you want to go from Liquid to the main chain right now, you will need to do a peg out, which is not super straightforward and only really available to Federation members. What we would do is do atomic swaps again, not submarine this time because there is no lightning involved, but we would do a swap that locks the user's coins on Liquid. We send coins on the main chain, and once you claim on the main chain, we get to claim on Liquid, and that's it. It's pretty much the same concept, just that we take Lightning out of the equation and use two chains on both sides. And same thing goes for going from the main chain to Liquid. It's also the exact same concept, just that you take Lightning out of the equation. And for the number of blocks to be mined, a couple ones probably, like 3-4 blocks on Liquid. That would be enough for a swap to the main chain. And the main chain block takes like 10 minutes. So I guess a swap would take like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes and you're done, in or out of Liquid from the main chain.
So that's probably the direction we should expect from the usage we've seen so far in the couple of days that we launched the product. That users probably will do like one circle, going from Lightning, just exactly what Michael did right now, into Liquid in order to obtain inbound liquidity, since it's the scarce resource on the Lightning network. And then, holding LBTC, accumulating more LBTC, doing many, many rebalances, and at some point then deciding, okay, I want to open a new channel on the main chain, so I need actual main chain Bitcoin, and then go back to the main chain via an on-chain swap. That's how we expect usage to be. Let me link actually a blog article that we published recently in the part, like I linked directly to the part, I think, that shows the expected savings on fees that you have using this rebalance method via Liquid instead of using main chain swaps. In short, it's much cheaper. Like 90x% cheaper.
And way more reliable in a sense that, as we've recently seen, the fees on the main chain spike like crazy. Especially in the last couple of weeks, you had fees in the 50 sat per rebyte, and it goes to 500 and back. The predictability of the fees on Liquid of the .011 sat per rebyte is just so nice to have as a comparison, even for us sending out on-chain payments and transactions on-chain. It's so nice that we don't have to worry about, will this transaction eventually confirm? Yes, no, maybe we have to bump fees. We just know when we send a Liquid transaction, it's going to be confirmed in a minute or two.
Yeah, and maybe a little anecdote how we actually pushed the Liquid swaps over the finish line. It was us ourselves struggling with precisely this situation where we were sending on-chain coins on the main chain, and it just failed to correctly estimate fees, right? So fees were just constantly going up in a way that we literally like we used mempool.space as a fee prediction, which is great, like the best out there probably. But it failed to predict the fee in a way that we actually got mined in time. So we were literally struggling ourselves with the volatile main chain fees, and that's actually what made us look into Liquid. And it is just so nice once you actually use these swaps and you have this, it just works and you can rely on it. For a Lightning node operator, this is a blessing.
For sure. Next question. Those deterministic blocks are great. Wondering, would you ever want to see faster block times? It's been discussed within the Federation. It's already so much nicer from a user experience perspective, and for us that we can rely on 1 or 2 minutes and you have a transaction mined. Going even faster, I think at a certain point you hit diminishing returns, because just being deterministic and 1 minute is already quite a lot nicer than the main chain in that regard. I guess it wouldn't hurt to go even faster, but like no real need for us, because like as we've seen, worst case you gotta wait for like a minute or two and you're done with your swap.
Yeah, there's a button, right? So I think everything lower than 12, 15 seconds is not possible anyway. So yeah, wouldn't hurt, but I think the advantages are limited. All right. Any more questions? If not, we're also happy to answer them in comments later. I think this will be published as a video. We'll be in the comments and are happy to answer any questions you might have. Give it a shot. Try it out. Liquid.boltz.exchange. Let us know how you like the experience or what you didn't like, especially. That's what interests us, and how we can improve the product. Yeah, glad to hear any feedback you may have. Then thanks, guys. Let's wrap it up. And thank you for having us, Chase and the Liquid team. Bye.
Thank you and bye.